everyone, and welcome back to the Playeasy Warmup, the podcast where we dive into the stories, people, and passion driving the sporting event and tourism industry forward. I'm your host, Kerri Shields. Today, we're stepping onto the court with a sport that's fast, fiercely competitive, and way more than just a childhood classic. I'm joined by Nick Factoran, Executive Director of Operations at USA Dodgeball, the organization driving the growth of dodgeball as a nationally recognized and inclusive sport. Nick shares how USA Dodgeball is building a powerful movement across the country, what makes a great host city or venue, and why dodgeball's community-first mindset sets it apart in the world of sports tourism. Whether you're new to the game or already in the dodgeball scene, this episode is for you. Hope you enjoy it. Nothing brings people together like sports, and no place brings people together like the beach, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. There, you'll find first-class facilities and an experienced planning team that will make sure your sporting or esports event goes off without a hitch. And when the games end, the real play begins. With 60 miles of endless activities and entertainment, it's a guaranteed win for all ages. That's why you can't beat the beach. Start planning at myrtlebeachsports.com. Nick, welcome to the Playeasy Warmup Podcast.
Thank you very much for having me, Kerri.
Yeah, of course. I'm very excited to have this conversation all about the sport of dodgeball. But to get us started, could you give us your personal dodgeball journey and how you got involved and what led you to your role at USA Dodgeball?
Yeah. So I actually found the game, like a lot of people, playing in grade school, middle school, high school. But most recently, I started in 2010 when I was a manager for a trampoline park in Orange County, California. And they had a couple of dodgeball courts. And so we were running dodgeball tournaments every month. And then a adult rec league came by and wanted to hold their own league on trampolines in our dodgeball courts. And I said, okay, that's cool. That sounds good. They invited me out to one of their dodgeball leagues on regular hard court. And I said, what do you mean you guys play regular dodgeball? What is that? I thought it was, we don't do that anymore. I thought that was only in grade school. And so, yeah, they took me to an adult dodgeball league and had a blast and found out there were higher levels to it and got involved and started playing in what was used to be called elite dodgeball. And that had a national circuit going on for a few years. And then in 2018, USA Dodgeball took over that national circuit. And then 2022 is when I joined the executive board for USA Dodgeball. So, yeah.
That's awesome. It's so fascinating to me. I've had the opportunity to speak to a lot of different niche sports and hearing the journey of it being a sport that you played as a kid that was just involved in recess or you thought was just, something that you played growing up and how it's come back into people's lives and just how much fun it is to stay involved and be competitive. And so I love hearing stories like that.
Yeah.
So USA Dodgeball's mission is about unifying and growing the sport of dodgeball. How would you describe the organization's evolution and purpose in your own words?
Yeah, so our evolution since, taking over in 2018, we've found that a lot of cities would have their own, dodgeball programs as part of their rec programs for their cities. And a lot of those players, it's really tough to find something a little bit more competitive than what they were holding on a recreational level, right? And so when Elite Dodgeball was created and back in 2012 or whenever it was, finding that extra level of competitiveness was, really beneficial for the sport in order for it to grow into kind of what it's been today. And having those rec leagues be kind of our feeder system into our Elite Dodgeball Premier Tour that we hold throughout the year. That having that, to get our players from and having all those really people that are really into it have another level to grow to.
And so could you describe exactly what you mean by those levels? I know you're
Yeah.
obviously involved with those local tournaments, but also the regional and national tournaments and the structure within
Yeah.
your organization?
Yeah, so USA Dodgeball holds a premier tour every season. Our season runs from about March to about Labor Day every year. And what USA Dodgeball is, it's sanctioned under the World Dodgeball Federation, which is the international organization that's in charge of dodgeball throughout the world. They have their own world championships held every 2 years, so it's a 2-year cycle. And through our premier tour, we have where we find our Team USA athletes for the teams that go out to international competitions. And so those are the levels right there. You're starting at the recreation leagues at the cities, local dodgeball organizations that hold their own open gyms and league nights every week. And then you step up to our premier tour where you have more competitive players. They're playing all three different ball types, which are foam, cloth, and no sting. Foam and cloth are the international ball types, so that when you get to the Team USA level in international competitions, you'll see more foam and cloth dodgeball happening all over the world.
Okay. Very cool. I'm learning a lot here. So
Yeah.
this is awesome. So you've had multiple RFPs come through the Playeasy platform, and it's been some of the most popular RFPs that we've had. You guys run events all over the country. What is it that makes a venue or a destination a great fit for one of your events?
Yeah, and so typically when Elite Dodgeball and when USA Dodgeballs just started, we were playing out of high school gyms, anything that would, accommodate like 3 dodgeball courts. But now, as we move towards the international level of competition and the bigger court size, we've gone from a 50 by 25 foot space into a 30 by 60, so more like a volleyball type court. We are in need of bigger venues, and of course, as we grow more popular, we're needing larger spaces. And so, instead of going to high school gyms where we've done in the past, we're looking for more athletic complexes uh, in destination cities for right now. But those larger complexes do tend to work best for us because having the large spaces with amenities inside like bars and food and drink and all that really help in drawing more players to each of these tournaments that we hold.
And are there any specific facility features that are non-negotiables for a dodgeball event?
It's the size and space, really. So, like I said, the 30 by 60 court is what we're moving towards now. We used to be at a smaller court, but now we need bigger space and more space for be able to just host more teams. And then spaces that have that type of space for us. I'm going to use Minnesota as an example. We just held our last tour stop in Minneapolis, in Bloomington, Minnesota. It was at the Kennedy Activity Center. We were seeing an overwhelming response because we are in the middle of searching for Team USA for the 2025-2026 cycle. The World Championships are going to be held in 2026, and so a lot of these players want to be scouted and want to make sure that they are seen by our scouts at our tournaments. And this is kind of the last chance to do that before we pick our practice squad. And it's going to be announced next week, which everyone's very, very excited. We had about 98 teams in the Minneapolis tour stop. So that was one of our largest tour stops to date over the past few years that USA Dodgeball has been having the Premier Tour. And we had it at the Kennedy Activity Center. We actually had to purchase more space in order to host all these teams. And luckily enough, we were able to get more space through the city of Bloomington. The Kennedy High School had a space upstairs. It was a logistics nightmare, but we actually made it happen, and all the teams were very appreciative. We were able to fit everyone in. I think we only turned away maybe 1 or 2 teams, unfortunately, but places like cities like that where it's very easy to work with the venues, and uh, that was a very great help to us.
That's great. And it just speaks to the importance of partnerships because from what I hear, there's no event that goes without some sort of logistical nightmare. And so it makes that destination partnership even more valuable. And so you've talked a bit about just how much the sport has grown over the last few years. What do you think are some key drivers to the growth right now?
I think right now it's just the popularity of the sport in general. Like the movie itself did huge things for our sport back in when was that? 2002. And so that was a long time ago. And there's talk of a Dodgeball 2 movie coming out. They actually had one of the writers at our World Championships in Austria last year. Um, you can check World Dodgeball Federation's live streams. They had the writer on there during one of the final days or opening days there, just to check out the scene, right? And see all the different countries involved, and it was really cool. So like the growth of this sport really comes from that pop culture movie. And then a lot of cities, starting to start up their own dodgeball programs. And like I said, that's kind of our feeder where we're seeing more and more teams come through from the rec level. They want to get something, more out of their dodgeball experience.
And is that something, if a city were interested in building a rec league, would they be contacting you once they build out to get their members to compete? Exactly does that work?
Yeah. And every time I go to like a conference, like sports ETA symposium or a teams conference, something like that, every time I talk to these cities, I ask them what their dodgeball program is. Do they run a dodgeball program as part of their, cities? And some people don't know. Some people say yes, they have like this small, part of their kickball program. They also run a dodgeball program because that's what people were asking for. And so a lot of these member orgs that we have underneath us right now started either from that city recreation league starting or someone else starting an open gym, just someone that was interested in dodgeball, hosting in their cities. And it's always good to know if there is a community already in the cities that we're interested in going to, because that's a home base for like a lot of the volunteers that we would use for our Premier Tour events.
Awesome. And that's something we hear a lot from the destination side is the movement towards fostering sports within your community and helping them grow from there. And so just the value add on both sides is awesome to hear. So your organization puts a strong emphasis towards inclusivity. Can you talk about how USA Dodgeball is creating a space where everyone feels welcome?
Yeah, and a lot of this is we have a lot of our member orgs are run by LGBTQ members of the community and allies, and they are hosting their own events. So like Summit Sports has their Mile High Shootout, their Minnesota Dodgeball has their first annual Lavender tournament coming up, and that's mainly for LGBTQ players. And then they have the allies help out and all of that. And then a more prominent voice is WeHo Dodgeball, and they hold their Sin City dodgeball tournament every January on MLK weekend. I've been a part of that for several years, helping out with that. And dodgeball, it's a really inclusive sport because a lot of the people are part of the community already, and it's really inviting, and it's really nice to see everyone have a chance to express themselves and play along in this sport that we all love.
I love it. And I realize I haven't even asked, and I don't know the answer. Are there any limitations for age? Is it co-ed? How do the structures of the teams work?
Yeah, so for our Premier Tour, it's a 6-on-6, and then depending on the ball type that we use, like I said, we have 3 different ball types in the USA Dodgeball Premier Tour. It's foam, no sting, and then cloth. And like I said, foam and cloth are the international standards. And so there's different rules on that, but it's mainly a 6-on-6 game. Basic rules, you get hit, you go out, you catch, the other person goes out, you bring someone in from your team. And just the simplicity of that, and then the the visceral act of throwing things at each other it tends to really be what brings people into the sport and make it really popular.
Yeah, it's enough to get me to want to get back into it. So,
Yeah.
and it seems just from looking at your social media, your website, strong promotion on community and fun around the event. And so, beyond the venue itself, what role does the surrounding community play in your event decision making?
Yeah, and it's always nice to have, stuff to do in the city. So like a lot of cities that come to us and want to have dodgeball in their city, they also, give us recommendations of after party locations and destinations that actually people want to visit, right? And so like anything that the destinations can give to us that say, hey, your players would really like this if they bring their families. This is what they would want to do. Things like that would really help in our decision making and make it very easy for us to select a place.
It's awesome. And from your perspective, how can a destination better support niche or emerging sports like dodgeball?
Really, it is fostering that community, helping with the local dodgeball leagues if there's any, and starting them if there's none. Um, Really spreading the sport and giving awareness to what we have as a sport and what we can bring to their cities. Like I said, it's really cathartic to just be able to throw stuff at people. I was playing last night for 2 hours. And like I haven't been able to play in a few months, and it's just coming back to it. It's been really fun, and it just reminded me how much I love the sport and how much it's done for me in the past years.
I think I've mentioned this a few times, but when we first started Playeasy, we had about 12 sports, the core 12 sports. And so seeing an organization like USA Dodgeball come through is one of my favorite things to see, is being able just to help promote and connect new sports with destinations. And so for you, how has using platforms like Playeasy helped you streamline your event promotion and your venue discovery?
I mean, it's helped greatly because once we put our RFP on there, we've seen so many contacts come through, and we've seen a lot of people reach out and say, "Oh, hey, I just saw your RFP on Play Easy. Tell us more about what you guys host and what you guys do." And we have had a couple successes. I really wish I could tell you what cities we've that have really come through because of Play Easy, but I can't. But like having all these different cities contact us, having to work with Ryan was really nice because he cleared some things up for us. And so having that partnership there has been really nice, and being able to find all these different cities and different venues and look at what they have to offer all through your platform is really nice to have.
Awesome. Well, we love to hear that, and Ryan will be very happy to
Yeah.
hear his shout out as well. So, as we look ahead, what's coming up next for USA Dodgeball? Are there any exciting events or initiatives that we should keep on
Yeah.
our radar?
We're halfway through this season, 2025. We've got three more cities left to go. Seattle coming up at the end of June. That one's sold out. We've got Boston, a one-day no sting tournament coming up in the middle of July. I think we still have spots open for that. We're about to open registration for Dallas, which is happening early August. And then our nationals is going to be Labor Day weekend in New Orleans. And so I'm actually going out on a site visit this weekend. That's going to be fun. And so that rounds out our 20th season. We are about to release the names of our practice squad next week for Team USA. And this is the core group of players that we'll be pulling from for our international competitions. And so Mexico City is the host of our Continental Championships in the end of November. So that's going to be in Mexico City. And then after that, our World Championships is, I think, lined up for next year, 2026. They have yet to announce where it's going to be because there's some logistics that needs to happen. But when that does, we will be selecting our Team USA to go to that one. And right now, if you go on the World Dodgeball Federation website, you'll see USA is #1 in the global rankings. I'm very proud of that. We've got, we came back from Austria in 2024 with 1 gold, 3 silvers, a 4th and a 5th place with the 6 teams that we brought, which was really nice to have. We're hoping for 6 golds next time.
Amazing. I'm excited to follow. And how does that work when the practice squad will be announced next week? This episode will be aired by then. How do you get everyone together from across the country to practice? Is there a central location?
Yeah.
How often are they meeting?
And so that's the big thing. So USA is unique in that aspect. I guess Canada would be in the same boat, but the way we select our practice squad, we then invite all of them to a combine. And so that I think we're working right now with Western Sports Park in Farmington, Utah, to see if so we've got some space available to do something like that. We were hoping for July. I think we're shooting for October now. So like a combine / practice for whoever's going to Mexico City in December. And so we invite all these players out, and then we select from those into these central practices or combines, and then from there we practice at the cities and venues that we are eventually going to be in for the international tournaments.
Awesome. And I actually just got back from Western Sports Park, and I was
it?
It is incredible. It is everything that they're promoting, and I'm excited. We have some content coming out about that visit soon, and so I'll definitely share with you. The team there is awesome to work with, and it is one of the most stunning venues that we've had the chance to go to. So that's very exciting. I'm excited for you to be out there. So if a player or a team wanted to get more involved in USA Dodgeball, how would you suggest them doing so?
They can follow us anywhere on the socials, USA Dodgeball. We're everywhere. You can check out our website for the latest on our tournaments when they're coming up. Facebook is usually the place where the news comes out first, but if you're on our email list, you'll be able to get that news as well. Registration links are all up there also. You just become a USA Dodgeball member through the registration site, and then register your team, and then you'll be able to play with the rest of these teams that have found this sport and love it.
That's great. And we will link that in this episode description so everyone can check that out. And so if you had a crystal ball, what would dodgeball look like in 5 years? It could be nationally or globally or both.
Yeah, globally, I think we are on the pathway to become an Olympic sport. We're just starting that pathway though. So in 5 years, hopefully we can see something come through where we are part of the Olympics, at least recognized by the IOC. And then just more players and more cities, more tournaments. We have pared down our schedule enough where cities can host their own tournaments and be able to, grow the sport through the cities themselves. And hopefully we can get dodgeball as big as pickleball has grown, right? And so it's something like that. And a lot of our balls are now available through Baden. We have a ball partnership with Baden. And so a lot of cities have been really, they try to find an appropriate ball to play. Sometimes they'd fall apart. They wouldn't last a season. But the ball partnership that we have now with Baden really helps put out some pretty good dodgeballs out there. So then they're USA Dodgeball branded, and they're really awesome to use. We've been using them the past couple Premier Tour stops, and we've gotten really good feedback from them.
That's great. And are there any initiatives to further the sport within youth development? getting the sport involved in more schools outside of just the recess ball that we were playing.
Yeah. And that's a tough thing, right? Because dodgeball has been banned in schools because, quote unquote, it's been a bullying sport. And really, what needs to happen, we did have the World Dodgeball Federation sponsored a World Youth Open in Calgary this past February. They had a lot of teams from around the world play. We had one team in a couple of age groups from the US, but Hong Kong was the ultimate like overall winners, and they've got a solid program over there in Hong Kong, over 20,000 players, something like that, throughout the country, playing through their leagues, and so we are nowhere near that. We're trying to start some youth programs, but we can only do so much. Myself and the board, the rest of the board are all volunteer based, and so it's been a difficult struggle to say the least to start up a youth program, especially with that stigma having to be a bullying sport. And so we just need to change the opinion on that, and hopefully in a few years we'll have something that we can bring to schools where we have showcase the strategy and the best aspects of the sport aside from throwing stuff at people.
Yeah. And on that note, what is one thing that you wish people knew more about dodgeball?
Yeah. Um, Really, that it involves more strategy than you think. I keep joking and saying it's throwing balls at people, but it really is kind of an advanced chess game that you're playing with your entire body. It's a target like you're throwing balls. You want to make sure you have those skills to enough to throw the ball with speed, with accuracy, at who you need to at the appropriate time. And it's such a difficult sport to coach through because there's no other sports that have multiple balls like this. It's very rare to see something like this with five or six balls going at the same time. And so as a spectator, really sh keeping an eye at who's throwing and who is pump faking and doing all these different strategies and seeing teams um, try to game and like figure out what the other team is going to do before they do it. It's really interesting to see.
And just from watching some games and reminiscing, I can say it is a true team sport, and you can see the strategy needed outside of just picking a ball and throwing it, as you said.
Yeah.
And so, last question, and you mentioned you are a volunteer, which I think is incredible. With most of the event organizers that we work with, this is just something that they're doing for the pure passion and love of the game. So I commend you for that. I know how much time goes into it as a coach's kid. And so I appreciate that. But what has been the biggest lesson you've learned on your journey with dodgeball?
Whew. The biggest lesson I have learned on my journey through dodgeball, I mean, really being able to see the sport grow and being part of the growth of the sport has really made me, you know, think back and value what we've put into it. Like not just me, all the other volunteers that have been dedicating their time to help grow the sport, honestly. And so like Dwayne, the former president of Dodgeball Canada and the president of World Dodgeball Federation now, um, the amount of work that he's been putting in to this sport and being able to grow the sport has been monumental. And so like I can only hope to match kind of what he's been doing with USA Dodgeball, and being that person that kind of holds everything together and making sure this sport is pointed in the right direction going forward, ever growing, and making sure it gets out to everybody. Really learning, how to run tournaments and how to make sure that these things go off without a hitch. is definitely been a learning process, but I think we've got the hang of it now. We've gotten really great feedback from this entire season. The past 3 stops that we've had has all been positive. Not too much negative comments on the past 3 stops. So I feel like what we're doing is working, and we can only go up from here.
Love it. Well, Nick, this has been so much fun. I loved getting to learn more about dodgeball, and I'm excited for more people to learn more about the game. And so thank you so much for your time and for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Kerri. It's been great.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, everyone. Until next time. Bye.